Okay, let's dive in. Today, we're really getting into building applications with large language models.
Mhm.
But, moving past just firing off single prompts.
Right, because that's where it gets interesting and, frankly, useful. How do you build complex workflows? How do you connect different steps?
Exactly. The real power isn't just the LLM itself. It's how you orchestrate it, bring in outside data, handle multiple stages.
And that's where frameworks like LangChain really come into play. They provide the structure. LLMs are amazing, but they need help to tackle complex, real-world tasks.
So for this deep dive, we're looking at an article, Practical LangChain, Building LLM Application Chains. It seems to have some really solid hands-on examples.
Yeah, it focuses squarely on this idea of chains.
Chains, right, like a sequence of components.
Exactly. Think prompt templates, the LLM call itself, maybe a tool to call an API, a retriever to fetch documents. You line them up.
And the data just flows through step by step to get the job done.
Precisely, like an assembly line for processing information, using the LLM at key points.
And the article highlights a specific way to build these chains now, LCEL, LangChain Expression Language.
Yes, LCEL. It's positioned as the modern declarative approach. The article even suggests it'll be the main way people do this by mid-2025 or so.
What's the big deal with it?
It uses the pipe operator, the symbol.
Ah, okay, it's
Yeah.
like in command lines.
Sort of, yeah. It visually shows the data flowing from one component to the next, makes chains, especially complex ones, much easier to read and honestly to debug compared to older methods.
Okay, makes sense. So before we get to the piping, the article mentions some setup, right? Installing the packages.
The usual suspects. You need LangChain itself, LangChain Core, then specific ones like LangChain OpenEye if you're using their models, LangChain Community for other integrations.
Plus maybe other libraries depending on what you're doing, like requests for APIs, Chromad for vector stores, Beautiful Soup 4 if you're scraping web pages.
Exactly. It's modular. You pull in what you need.
And, crucially, API keys. The article stresses using environment variables.
Absolutely critical. Things like OpenEye app key, maybe OpenWeather app key for one of the examples. You never want to hard code those. Environment variables are the standard way.
Good reminder, security first. And they also set up a reusable LLM instance, like Chat OpenAI with GPT 3.5 Turbo.
Yeah, the idea is you configure your model, once temperature, model name, etc., and then you can just plug that same LM object into all the different chains you build. Keeps things consistent.
All right, foundation set. Let's get into the first big example pattern. Multi-step prompt chains with this LCEL thing.
Okay.
The scenario they use is pretty common, I think. First, extract some specific info from text.
Like product features from a description.
Right, and then use only those extracted features to do something else, like write marketing copy.
Yeah, step A feeds into step B. You see this all the time. Process input, then use that processed output for the next stage. LCEL makes defining that link really clean.
So how does it look in practice? You define separate prompts first.
One prompt template asks the LLM to find the features, let's call it prompt features. Another template, prompt description, tells the LLM to write copy using features it will be given.
And you probably need something to make sure the LLM output is just plain text, right? An output parser.
Yeah, like strap part parser. Just takes the LLM's message object and pulls out the text content. Simple but necessary.
Okay, prompts defined, parser ready. Now, the LCEL part. How do you build the individual chains?
It's just using the pipe for the features part. Chain features, a prompt features, LM parser.
Prompt goes to LLM, LL output goes to parser. Got it.
And similarly for the description part, chain description while prompt description and LM parser.
Two separate chains. But how do you link them? How does the output of chain features become the input for chain description?
This is where LCEL gets clever. The article shows the syntax, overall chain features, chain description.
Hold on. Features. Chain features. What's that doing?
That dictionary is the key. It tells LangChain, run the chain features, take its output. Now make that output available to the next step in the pipeline, chain description, under the import variable name features.
So the second prompt template, prompt description, must have a placeholder specifically named features to receive that output.
Exactly. It maps the output of one chain directly to a named input variable for the next. It's explicit and clear.
So if you feed it that example product brief, a wireless ergonomic mouse, 80-hour battery, 6 programmable buttons.
You invoke overall chain with that brief. Internally, it runs chain features, gets the list of features, then it takes that list, slots it into the features variable and prompt description, runs that through the LLM and parser.
And out pops your marketing copy, based only on the extracted features.
Precisely. Much cleaner than trying to force everything into one massive convoluted prompt. LCEL helps break it down manageably.
Okay, that handles combining LLM steps. But LLMs live in a bubble, right? They don't know what the weather is right now.
Correct. Their knowledge is frozen at the time of training. If you need real-time info or need to interact with external systems, you need something else.
And that's tools in LangChain.
That's the mechanism, yes. Tools are how you give your LangChain application arms and legs to reach outside the LLM. Think APIs, databases, custom Python functions, anything really.
The article uses a weather example, grabbing data from Open Weather Map. Seems like a good way to illustrate it.
It is. They show defining a standard Python function, say getWeather. It takes a city argument, makes the API call, and returns the weather info as a simple string.
Okay, just a normal Python function. How does LangChain know about it?
The magic is a simple decorator. At tool, you just put that line right above the function definition.
Head tool, that's it.
That's basically it. It registers that function with LangChain so you can use it in a chain. The function signature, like requiring the city parameter, is automatically understood by LangChain too.
Neat. So how do you build a chain with the tool?
The article shows something like this. Weather chain equals get weather, prompt weather elm strapput parser.
So the tool is the first step in this chain.
In this case, yes. When you invoke weather chain, maybe with the input Berlin.
LangChain sees getWeather first, runs your Python function with Berlin, gets back the weather string.
Exactly. And that weather string output then gets piped as input into the next step, prompt weather.
Which is presumably a prompt template telling the LLM, here's some weather data, please summarize it nicely.
Right. And then that formatted request goes to the LLM, and the result gets parsed by a strapput parser.
Wow. So @tool lets you just wrap any piece of code, any interaction, and slot it right into your LCEL pipeline. That's really powerful.
It's incredibly flexible. Anything you can write in Python, you can pretty much turn into a tool for your LLM application.
Okay, this next one feels like maybe the biggest use case for many people. Getting the LLM to answer questions based on your own documents, internal knowledge bases, support docs, things the LLM wasn't trained on.
Absolutely. This is Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RG. It's fundamental for making LLMs useful with specific, private, or up-to-date information. The article breaks down how to build a basic RAG chain.
Step one seems to be loading and prepping the documents. They use a text loader for a file, like knowledgebase.txt.
But raw documents can be huge. LLMs have limits on how much text you can give them at once, the context window.
Right, so you have to chop them up.
Exactly. That's where the recursive character text splitter comes in. You tell it how big you want the chunks, like 500 characters in the example, and maybe how much they should overlap, like 50 characters.
Why the overlap?
It helps ensure you don't accidentally cut a key sentence or idea right in half between two chunks. It gives the chunks a bit more context continuity.
Makes sense. Okay, documents loaded and split into manageable chunks. Step 2.
Making those chunks searchable, you need to turn the text into numbers the computer can compare for meaning. That's embeddings.
Using something like OpenAI embeddings?
Right. It converts each text chunk into a vector, a list of numbers representing its semantic meaning. Then you store these vectors, along with the original text, in a specialized database.
A vector store. The article uses Chroma.
Yep, Chroma is a popular choice. It's designed to find vectors that are close to each other very quickly. Closeness here means semantic similarity.
So this vector store is your searchable knowledge base now.
Essentially, yes. When a user asks a question, you embed their question into a vector too.
And search the vector store for the document chunk vectors that are numerically closest.
Exactly. Those closest chunks are the ones most likely to contain the answer to the question.
Clever. Okay, final step, putting it all together. Define a prompt specifically for Q&A.
Right. A chat prompt template designed for this task. Crucially, it needs placeholders for two things: the user's input, their question, and the context.
And that context placeholder is where the relevant document chunks you just retrieved will go.
Precisely. And LangChain provides helpers to build the chain, like create a retrieval chain. You basically wire up the retriever component from your vector store, vector-store.sRetriever, that QA prompt template, and your LLM instance.
So if I ask this RAG chain, what is our refund policy?
LangChain uses the retriever to find the chunks in your knowledgebase.txt vector store that are most similar to refund policy. It takes those chunks,
Stuffs them into the context part of the QA prompt?
adds your question to the input part, sends the whole combined prompt to the LLM.
And the LLM generates an answer based specifically on the provided document snippets.
Exactly. It grounds the LLM's answer in your actual knowledge base, reducing the chance of it making things up or hallucinating.
That is incredibly useful. You could build internal help desks,
Yeah.
product support bots, research assistants.
Totally. It's a foundational pattern for so many practical LLM applications.
And the article connects these building blocks, chains, tools, RAG back to broader business uses.
Yeah, it helps to see the bigger picture. Like a customer support bot isn't just one thing. It might first classify the user's intent,
Using a classification chain, maybe.
then maybe use a tool to look up their account details in a CRM.
Oh.
Then use a RAG chain to find the answer to their query in the support documentation.
Right.
And finally, use another LLM chain to synthesize all that information into a friendly, helpful response.
So it's composing these smaller chains together.
Absolutely. Or automated reporting. Use a database tool to get raw numbers, pipe that into a summarization chain, maybe pipe that into a formatting chain to create a chart description or an email draft.
Personalized marketing, too, I guess.
Yeah.
Tool pulls customer data, a chain segments them, or crafts a personalized hook. Another chain drafts the email.
You got it. These examples we discussed, multi-step prompts, tools, RAD, they are the fundamental pieces you combine to build these larger, more complex applications.
Okay, before we wrap up, the article gives some best practices. Always good to keep those in mind.
Definitely. Top of the list was using LCEL for clarity and maintainability. As chains get complex, that readability really pays off.
And error handling. Can't forget that.
No way. Real-world applications need try-except blocks around tool calls, maybe around LLM calls too. APIs fail. Models sometimes return garbage. You need graceful fallbacks, not just a crash.
Good point. What else? Cost control.
Especially with powerful models, costs can add up. The article suggests things like maybe using smaller, faster, cheaper models for certain intermediate steps, like drafting or simple classification.
Or streaming the output for long responses, so the user sees text appearing gradually.
Exactly. Streaming improves perceived performance and can sometimes help manage token usage patterns.
And security comes up again. Environment variables for keys, obviously.
Foundational. But also thinking about rate limits on APIs, you call, sanitizing user input before passing it along, being mindful of what data you're sending to the LLM, especially if it's a third-party model. It all matters for robust apps.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the core idea is that LangChain lets you build sophisticated LLM apps by creating these chains of components.
Right. It's moving beyond single prompts to connect prompts, the LLMs themselves, external tools, and document retrieval systems.
And LCEL, the LangChain expression language with its pipe operator is presented as the modern, clear way to define how data flows through these chains.
Yeah, we saw that in the multi-step prompt example, how it cleanly passed features from one stage to the next.
We also saw how the @tool decorator makes it surprisingly easy to integrate external data or actions, like fetching live weather data.
And the RAG pattern loading, splitting, embedding, retrieving, and then generating an answer based on retrieved context that's crucial for grounding LLMs in specific knowledge.
Understanding this chaining concept really feels like the key to unlocking more practical, powerful uses for LLMs, going beyond just simple Q&A or text generation.
It absolutely is. It's about building structured, data-connected applications.
So the article kind of points towards a next step, leaves us with something to think about. What happens when the LLM itself starts making decisions within the chain?
Ah, right. Instead of a fixed sequence, what if the LLM could look at the input and decide, okay, for this query, I need to use the weather tool, or for that one, I need to search the documents?
Is that complex?
That's moving into the territory of LangChain agents. It gives the LLM more autonomy to reason, plan, and choose which tools or chains to execute to achieve a goal. It opens up a whole new level of possibilities for building dynamic, intelligent systems, something to definitely explore.